Welcome everybody. Today we are going to be discussing product project management. Today the we'll be reviewing a project management software called Taiga. It is free. It is open source software. You can have as many projects as you want with it. I chose it primarily for this, just to give an example of what this software is like. And you'll find that in the industry, there are a lot of kind of software similar to this. This just happened to be convenient for me. And we'll just go over it. It covers basic agile methodologies for project management. We're going to be focusing specifically on Scrum. So what you see here is the basic manage project section of the site. But what we're going to do is go right over here to create project. This will bring us to a section where we can choose our style. I'm going to stick with Scrum. That's going to be primarily what I'm focused on. And just so that you know, this video is directed mainly to people who haven't been in or haven't had their first job yet. I myself have only worked one job professionally, though I've been studying for quite some time. So this particular, but when I was working, we used software very similar to this. So what I'm going to do here is just go over the basics of Scrum. It's just going to be a general overview, and I might go into more details in a future video. So as you can see, we've got the template for a Scrum project. We would just put in a project name. You saw that I had some other projects already going. They were just test projects, as this one will also be. So let me just go ahead and put in a name here. We'll say test project 3. A third test project. All right. And we will go to create. And we will create that project. And here it is. Alright, so as you can see, just to get a little oriented here, what we have started off here is the backlog. Now down here you can create user stories, and over here you can create sprints. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with those terms, a user story is basically a unit of functionality that needs to be implemented. It can come from either the developer side or the user side in terms of who is using it and what it's meant to do, and then that can be broken down further into subtasks, and we'll get into that more. A sprint is basically a unit of time that you commit to accomplishing certain amounts of user stories, you could say, or tasks at least leading up to a user story. And we'll go into that right now. Before we do, just want to also just draw your attention over here. Here we have the backlog. Down here we have issues, the wiki, team, administration, search, and timeline. And we'll just, burn through these one by one and help you get oriented so that should you ever find yourself in a job, you'll have some sense of how this kind of software works. So we can start by adding a new user story. You just click this little button. And you can see we can add a subject. So just as an example, we could do navigation, right, or a home button. So let's see. So typically these are done in a particular way where it's as a insert role, I would like to some type of functionality so that I can, and then the reason for that functionality. So as an example, as a user, I would like to click the home button and be brought home to the home page. So I can easily get um, oriented. Sure, you get the idea. Oriented. Alright, and down here we would see you can set that up as a UX, a design, a front or back end aspect. Seeing as that's sort of more on the functionality side, we'll put that as a front end aspect. And here we have points we can assign for how much this particular story is worth. So we go ahead and assign that a particular points. And here we can determine, where it should be set. We can just keep that as new. This is a description, so we could just say need to get to home page by clicking home button. All right. And then down here you can add any attachments and any further requirements needed by the team. Whether it's or you can indicate whether it's something the team would like or whether it's something the client would like. And in this case, it would be more of a client aspect. And you create it, and voila, it exists. So we're moving forward. We're having some success here. Now, what we can do over here is create a sprint, right? Remember, a sprint is a unit of time you commit to doing a certain amount of work. So here we have a sprint. We can name the sprint. We'll call this one Sprint 1. Here you can see it lasts from September 19th to October 17th, or October 3rd, 2017. And we'll just go ahead and create that. Now what this will do is it will create the sprint as soon as it finishes loading. And okay, there we go. It's working. And you can see right here, it says drop here stories from your backlog to start a new sprint. So we have a backlog. This is where all our user stories are stored. You can add as many of these as you want. We can just drag this over here as we want to work on this. And now this is involved in this sprint right here. So this time frame, we want to accomplish this unit of functionality. We go to the sprint task board and we are brought to this page. Now on this page you'll see that we have our user story, and we can break this user story down into smaller tasks. So if you see this button, we can add a new task or we can add bulk tasks. So one example would be we've got this view, which is very similar to the user story view. A task could be, create the home button. Home button. So no functionality, just make it. Let's see. Nothing like that. And we'll assign this to myself as I'm the only one on this team. And you'll see right here it has the word iocane. This is borrowed from the movie The Princess Bride. Basically, you would click this button to indicate that well, as you can see, if you're feeling overwhelmed, that you would need some help from a manager or someone who's got more skill than you to get through it. But I digress. We create this task, and now we can see the task is here, and we can go ahead and drag that over to in progress. We've accomplished the task. We can also add these in bulk right here, one item per line. So if I wanted to say, just for the sake of expedience here, we'll just say task 1, task 2. We'll actually do task 2, task 3, since we already have a task already. Go ahead and save that. And now we have our tasks here, and we can assign those as necessary. And we drag those over. And then when we're done with all of that, we can just edit the card. We can say it's closed. We'll go ahead and close this one. And then we'll go ahead and close this one. We don't need to assign it to anyone. Okay, so now that's all closed. So in theory, this should be closed. Now, if we go over here, we can actually, so this is just it in more detail. If we go back to the backlog, and we can see that because we accomplished everything, we closed it and we've acquired our point. So actually the sprint is still going. If I had made this shorter, it would have been potentially done. But yeah, that's the basic sum of it on this section. Now I'll probably go through and do a separate video for each one of these. I guess I could go into more detail, but I'm still trying to figure out my pacing for these videos. So thank you for bearing with me here, and I'll see you on the next video.